The forests of the Pacific Northwest hold rare trees that are being stolen by skilled criminals.
Their job is to steal wood and resell it.
The job of chasing these criminals takes deputies into highly dangerous situations.
What's it say? Hey assholes, only pigs shit where they eat. You will be found.
These deputies are the only line of defense between thieves
100% profit unless you go to prison.
And ancient big leaf maple trees.
Off one maple tree, me and one other guy made $45,000.
What's it like?
That's active sites. If we happen to run into somebody down here, most likely I would know who they are. Let's see where they've been cutting.
To hunt timber thieves.
My name is Mark Apeland, and I'm a retired patrol sergeant from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. During my time as a law enforcement officer, I investigated major crimes, which included timber theft. They were unloading figured maple, and I said, "You guys are busted." Many of those timber theft cases involved the theft of specialized forest products, including maple and cedar.
The deputies protecting the Olympic Peninsula are battling a particularly disturbing crime in recent years. In this ancient forest grows a tree so valuable, so rare, and so coveted that criminals are risking prison time and injury to steal it.
Some of the well-known thieves, a lot of them are involved in drug activity. Most of the ones that are doing this now this is their actual job. Their job is to steal wood and resell it. Western red cedar's right now probably the top payer. Just used for so many things. Now the big thing is firewood. There's such a demand for firewood, so they're just cutting large trees down, which is illegal even with a permit. The resources become an easy target because it's easy to be hidden while you're stealing wood. The Forest Service doesn't really put their resources into patrolling their areas, and the state, they're pretty limited on their resources as well. I believe there's one law enforcement officer for the Forest Service on the east side of the Olympics. The more secluded the area is, that would probably dictate their target. They've been cutting all up in here. Let's see where they've been cutting. A lot of times they'll fell them, they'll leave it blocking the road, and then they come back at night and cut it up. And so they've been hitting, as you can see, they've been hitting all through up here. You can see a lot of stumps that this is all fairly new activity. It's very quick because they're right here on the road. They put that in their truck, put it on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist that night, and then they sell it the next day or two. And when you're selling dry fir firewood for $300, $350 a cord, you're making a pretty good return. That tree there, I would say there's probably a good 2.5 cord out of that. So let's say you were selling it for $300 a cord, that's probably a $900 tree. It's not really fair to the guys that are trying to legitimately harvest firewood. It is maybe their living, but also when you know that they're feeding a habit, that's even more tragic. And I know 3 local guys that are doing this right now. And last night I saw a fresh load of this large wood like this come out of off this hill. Look at here, see how they just cut them off. See, those were live trees. Here they just cut this one down. So this is probably what I saw them coming down from last night with a load of wood. Because that's really fresh. Looks like they left their jacket. That's active sites. Do you want to walk down there real quick? If we happen to run into somebody down here, most likely I would know who they are as somebody that I actually dealt with in the past. That was a nice sized tree there. Pretty good size though. This is a premeditated theft site, and they've axe cut the bark to kill it, and then they harvest it as dry firewood. Or they can say, well, I fell that tree, it was dead anyway, so I fell it, thinking it's a lesser event criminally wise. So you can see over there they've ringed that tree with an axe, and that's a live tree, but no doubt it will die. So they'll come back when that tree's dead and fell that tree. I could see where they'd been cutting on this with an axe previous before they fell it, and then that one there's, they call it ringing it to kill it. And it's easy access, the road's right there, but yet the road is off of the main road, so they'd probably really like this area for being able to work freely. The quality of lumber in these is amazing. They've grown in a thick stand, so their limb sizes are small, and there's fewer of them, so you have small, tight knot lumber. If I had a stand of trees like this, I would never cut them into firewood. They're too valuable for lumber market. Their targeted maple trees are often down in the ravines. If they can find a tree that's heavily figured, they're probably going to go after that tree.
When the right opportunity presents itself, it's hard to walk away from a good reward. Off one maple tree, me and one other guy made $45,000 off one tree. That's 100% profit, unless you go to prison. It's a ton of work. It's dangerous. Maple likes to grow in swampy areas, canyons, anywhere that it's hell to get to. It's reward versus risk. This portion of the Northwest is specific to the quilt pattern. That's what you're looking for. It's beautiful, it glows. Very pretty. Maple theft will continue as long as there's buyers for it and they're still good with it.
The dollar value is kind of based on what it can be used for. So if it's large enough to make musical instruments, like they can make a cello out of, or a bass violin out of, that will drive up the cost or the price of the wood. You'll see those guitars, and you'll see a plain grain one for sale, and the identical guitar with a quilted top on it for sale. It's even reflected in the difference in price. You know, if the market's high enough, the payoff is their reward, and so they do it. One of the guys that's doing this, he just got caught stealing a maple tree down on some private land, and he just said, he thought he had permission from the landowner that was adjacent to the site he was stealing from. And so I think it was hard for the sheriff's office to prove otherwise, so he got away with that. But he's been coming up here a lot. I mean, I hear him at night coming up here. I know the sound of his truck, and I see him occasionally late at night coming out of the hills here with wood. There you go. Might be a good chance that's a stolen car. Looks like a Trailblazer, doesn't it? Or is it? No, it's a full-size Blazer. Yeah. What's it say? Hey assholes, only pigs shit where they eat. You will be found. What a mess. Yeah, that just happened. Well, there's an old theft site. You want to go look at it? Informant called in that there was a major maple theft site here. So you can look and see how steep this is. Pretty darn steep, and it shows you how ambitious they can get to get to a valuable tree. I wouldn't want to pack a tree out of here. And these trees like to grow on the sides and the bottoms of these ravines because they like the moisture and the shade. So here's the base of the tree that they fell. There were some Pretty valuable wood they got out of here. For a small tree this size, this had quite a bit of figure in it. And you can see their saw cuts where they actually cut that with the chainsaw and they packed these out. They would have gotten hundreds of dollars out of just this small section if it was high enough quality. I knew of one, and I've actually been to this theft site where allegedly they got $25,000 out of the tree. It looks like I can see one that's been checked with an axe down here, just into the cambium layer under the bark, and they can get an idea of what that tree will yield and decide whether or not it's worth cutting. I would bet we're gonna see more than one that's been axe checked. So here's a section that they were either packing up or came rolling down the hill, and as you can see, they actually cut it into like a billet, and you can kind of see, it's hard to tell, but you can kind of see where that could have had some figure in it. This looks like an area where they hit this with an axe to check to see if it had figure in the cambium layer, and it looks like maybe it had a light axe cut there. Probably not a very good quality tree, so they left it. But I see one down there that looks like it's full of quilt, so either it wasn't worth their while to get it out, or maybe they were worried that they were gonna get detected in this spot. For a tree that small, that's not that common, really. So here you can see the irregular bumps underneath the bark, and that's what they're after. You would look at this and identify, wow, that's got a lot of quilt. Now let's fell it to see how deep it goes. And so how deep that figure goes into the tree would determine how valuable the tree is. So this tree here that we're looking at was up there, and they fell it down here, and they did remove quite a bit of this tree. However, they left a large portion of it. It was pretty heavily figured, and you can see it where they'd blocked this out and cut their billets, and you can tell that that was definitely had some quilt figure in it. These guys were caught, but not for this particular tree. I think the one guy bragged about, trees in the $20,000 range for one tree, and how many trees did he take? He never really said, but a lot of trees. He was one of the best, if not the best, in the area. You could tell the signature of who had cut these trees by how they fell them. They do just about anything for money, and unfortunately, a lot of addiction will drive the desperation. They'll just walk through areas, checking trees and places where I probably would never go. If the market's high enough, the payoff is their reward, and so they do it. And we're down we go. It's important to protect our natural resources because someday there won't be those things left. So we're down. Is there something that's going to be next? Will it be more of our houses? Will it be other property crimes that will follow? If there's not enough trees to cut down. So we're down we go.
If you have a story to tell, send us a message.
Way down we go.
What's It Like TV.